Brno, a city in the heart of Europe. It can offer everything, and yet it has a friendly atmosphere. Busy street life, cafes, monuments, you name it. However, all this is not mere chance. We are in Central Europe, a place with a rich past and deep roots. Let us tell the story of Brno from the very beginning. We are in prehistoric times. At the same time, when the famous paintings in Altamira or Lasau were created, people also lived in South Moravia. They would spend winter months in the caves of the Moravian caste. Only 2 hours a day were needed for hunting, and thus they had time for spiritual matters as well. Because of this, beautiful paintings have been preserved on tools which can be compared with world discoveries. Perhaps they had magic power, who knows? This bronze statue of a bullock was the first find of the mysterious discovery by Jindřich Wankel in the Bull Rock cave. In the cave interior, he found a large burial ground with 40 human skeletons. It is one of the most important discoveries in Europe. South Moravia has yet another unique prehistoric object. The oldest ceramic work in the world, the Venus of Dolní Věstonice. To this day, tourists can touch the prehistoric times. The Moravian caste attracts tourists with 6 accessible caves. Each is different. You can take a boat ride on an underground river, stand at the bottom of the deepest abyss in Central Europe, and you will be stunned by the beauty of stalactite and stalagmite cave chambers. You can imagine being a prehistoric human right in the places where they lived. The most famous speleologist, Karol Absalon, founded the Anthropos Pavilion for his discoveries. The biggest attraction is a gigantic model of a mammoth. At the turn of the 9th and 10th centuries, Great Moravia was the most powerful state in Central Europe. It was here that the missionaries Cyril and Methodius came to spread Christianity. Slavic fortified settlements had great architecture, and an important trading route led through them. This meant wealth and a bloom of culture, but also a slave trade. Even today, we can think of Slavs when eating horseradish sauce. It was them who brought horseradish to this region. You can best learn about the glory of Great Moravia in Mikulčice near Hodonín. There is a modern exhibition as well as a beautiful outdoor museum. The second most important site of discovery is in nearby Břeclav, Pohansko. In 1243, Brno was granted city rights and thus recognized as a city for the first time in its history. 2 centuries later, the Margrave Jobst of Moravia ascended to power. South Moravia is dotted with castles, which were later destroyed by his sons due to heritage conflicts. Jobst of Moravia was very ambitious, no wonder. He was a relative of Charles IV, and supposedly they had a lot in common. He managed to become the Roman king. However, 2 months later he died at Spielberg, and Brno enjoyed the status of the imperial centre only for a short while. Jobst's grave is in the Church of St. Thomas at Moravian Square. At about the same time, viniculture started to develop in South Moravia. Anabaptists and Templars lived there, and wine started to flow in large quantities. That has not changed until today, fortunately. The end of the 30 Years' War, the biggest battle of Brno. The Swedes wanted to capture Spielberg and the entire city. An army of 28,000 strong attacked about 1,500 untrained Brno citizens. Was it a miracle or the general Raduit de Souche? Both. Father Martin's thredder and the Black Madonna gave the defenders confidence and determination, and Raduit de Souche knew Swedish tactics perfectly. In the end, according to the legend, a bell ringer also helped by swinging the bells an hour earlier. The enemy left and Brno won. The bells of the Cathedral of Saints Peter and Paul ring noon as early as 11 o'clock every day. The famous General de Souche rests in the Church of St. James, and the original miraculous Black Madonna can be seen in Old Brno. Even today, the citizens are still proud of their victory. It is also commemorated by a modern clock in the shape of a projectile in Freedom Square. The clock gives out a glass ball at 11 o'clock every day. Let us travel to a fairy tale, to the times when the Lichtsteins were one of the most powerful families in South Moravia. They built a unique complex full of fairy tale romance near the border with Austria. It is also on the UNESCO list. The Lednica Chateau, with its garden, is the core of the complex. The princes used it as their weekend house. However, they did not spare money by any means. Their master builder was Josef Hardmuth, who literally put his name to his next invention, a pencil. We are still in Lednica, and this is a minaret. Are you wondering why a Muslim tower is in the south of Moravia? The princes traded with exotic countries, and they wanted to please their business partners. Or, you may believe the legend. Supposedly, the Lichtsteins were angry that the local people could not agree on the location of a new church, which they wanted to build for them with their own money. The princes knew how to enjoy life. They organised hunts at an artificial ruin, and in nearby Valtitsa they built a chateau resembling French Versailles, where they kept one of the first theatres in the country. Even today, it is the perfect place for relaxation. Tourists can rest in a spa, enjoy good food and great wine in one of the oldest cellars in the region, or visit an exhibition of the best wines of the Republic. The Lichtsteins literally planted the Břeclav region with various small architectonic pearls and romantic buildings. Some experts argue that when perceived as a whole, they should form the shape of a mysterious symbol. That would fit nicely to the Lednica Valtitsa fairy tale. The town of Slavkov, Austerlitz, entered the world textbooks thanks to the famous Battle of the Three Emperors. The French Emperor Napoleon defeated the Allied forces of Russia and Austria. Brno served as a field hospital, a refuge as well as a source of food for thousands of soldiers. Every day, Brno citizens had to deliver 26,000 pounds of meat to the French. Livestock was slaughtered directly at the cabbage market. People from the ground floor flats had to move out because soldiers stabled their horses there, and the Russian general Kutuzov spent a night right here in the Lichtstein Palace. The Austrian Emperor Francis I, and later also Napoleon, spent the night in the Governor's Palace at Moravian Square. Every year, the Napoleonic battle comes back to life at the commemoration events. You can soak up the atmosphere if you visit the Cairn of Peace Memorial or Slavkov Chateau. On July 7, 1839, the first train from Vienna arrived in Brno. The Moravian metropolis used to be called the Austrian Manchester, mainly because of its textile factories. During the biggest boom, there were 20 of them running at the same time. The city also tore down its medieval fortifications, and the so-called Greater Brno gradually formed at that time. The city of 100,000 was joined by the neighbouring villages, and thus it became 7 times larger. Johann Gregor Mendel is certainly the most famous Brno native in the world. He occupied himself with genetics and worked as an abbot in the monastery in Old Brno. Besides his brilliant discoveries and experiments with peas, he also contributed greatly to the science of meteorology. He was the first in the world to describe the occurrence of a tornado. Bees were his great hobby. He himself had the nearby Spielberg castle planted with trees so that they had something to pollinate. Moreover, he also excelled at mathematics and economics. Today, he has his museum with a modern exhibition at Mendel Square. Brno has also become known in the world with this theatre. In 1882, it was the first public building in the world to be lit by electricity. The whole system was designed by the office of Thomas Alva Edison. Several months later, he came by in a brand new car to inspect the project. It was a great event, and the bulbs in front of the theatre remind us of it. Brno enjoyed an architectural boom during the First Czechoslovak Republic. It entered architecture textbooks thanks to excellent functionalism. The most famous building, which is also on the UNESCO list, is the Villa Tugendhat, a spacious living space in harmony with the garden. This world-unique building has a powerful story. Brno cafes, with their unique atmosphere, are also famous in the Czech Republic. A number of them offered a cup of hot coffee to their guests as early as the beginning of the last century. Even today, Brno citizens enjoy local specialities in them and talk for hours about life in the city as if nothing has changed. Old bohemians sit around there, as well as important managers and young intellectuals. In 1919, Masaryk University was founded in Brno. Today, there are 13 colleges in the city. During the academic year, the city pulses with a young spirit as more than 90,000 young people come here. Life in Brno speeds up by 100%. There is no shortage of fun. The Academy of Performing Arts was named after the composer Leos Janáček. His unique work has conquered the world. Brno locals are still proud of him. They also named the local opera and ballet after him. Theatre is a part of Brno as well as its cafes. You can visit small studio stages as well as large musicals. Every year in early summer, it moves onto the streets and the city celebrates a week-long theatre event. South Moravia is a wonderful holiday. It has the highest number of sunny days in the whole of the Republic. Thanks to this, grapes prosper here. Local samples of wine rank well at world exhibitions. People from the villages still keep the traditions. Grape harvests, with its typical new wine, are characteristic for the autumn. In winter, you can enjoy feasts on the occasion of pig slaughtering, and from summer to autumn, feast days are celebrated. Folk costumes from South Moravia are among the most elaborate ones in Europe. South Moravia is perfect for biking holidays. There is a total of 1,200 kilometers of cycling trails. Some of them have wine as the main theme, no wonder. Brno is crazy about ice hockey. The most famous club is called Kometa, and it is very difficult to get tickets for a home match. Brno's women basketball players have several times won the European League. Also, baseball prospers here. The two biggest clubs, Draci and Technika Brno, practice at the city stadium. Brno is a city of science. You will find state-of-the-art laboratories in the local technology park and at the university campus. Thousands of companies from all over the world present themselves at the Brno Exhibition Centre. It is the largest exhibition ground in the country. The engineering fair is the most famous one held there.